Hey y'all, welcome back to another episode of DEI in 5, the show where we explore topics and news relevant to diversity, equity, and inclusion in roughly 5 minutes, sometimes more, sometimes less. Today I am joined by one of my frequent collaborators, my friend, my homie, Miss Caren Young is joining us today, aka the professional adult, and today we're going to be unpacking Adidas' recent decision to retract their opposition to the Black Lives Matter three-stripe design, and I'll give you a little background and then we'll talk a little bit more about it. But the Black Lives Matter Global Network Foundation, which as you likely know is a central player in the much broader Black Lives Matter movement or BLM movement, they applied for a US trademark in November 2020 for a yellow three-stripe design with plans to feature it on merchandise such as clothing and bags. Nothing surprising, right? What most folks will do when they have a movement to kind of spread awareness of the brand and the group. But this Monday, sportswear giant Adidas, known for its iconic and trademark three-stripe design, filed an opposition with the U.S. Trademark Office, arguing that the BLM Global Network Foundation's design could create some confusion with Adidas' own three-stripe mark. Now, here's where it gets fun and interesting. 2 days later, yesterday, Adidas made this move to actually withdraw that opposition to the BLM trademark application. And while they haven't given an official reason, it is worth noting that Adidas has recently faced some financial hurdles. The company is expected to lose roughly $1.3 billion in revenue this year as a result of ending their partnership with Kanye through the Yeezy partnership, along with the ending of the Ivy Park partnership with Beyoncé. So we're talking about two very highly valued partnerships with two very prominent Black artists. It gets even more interesting because this isn't the first time that Adidas has taken legal action to protect their three stripes. Over the 70 years that they've been around, they filed roughly 90 lawsuits, so more than a lawsuit a year that they've been around, and not just against three stripes, but just stripes in general, as if they own stripes, which is very interesting. So they filed lawsuits against organizations, or not organizations, but brands like Tom Brown, Skechers, J. Crew, just to name a few, and they've had varying outcomes. Some of them Adidas did not win, some of them they settled. You can look it up. We'll add some links below in the description. But it raises a couple of very real questions, and I want to talk to you about this today, Caren. And the first that's top of mind for me is, Lord, as I die over here. The one that's top of mind for me is, how do branding and legal battles intersect with social justice movements? And then the second is, how does a company's financial situation influence its decisions and public perception? Acid reflux is kicking my ass today. But what are your thoughts on those questions while I try to get myself together?
So the first thing is that, in reading everything kind of about what's going on with Adidas and how they're so litigious when it comes to those three stripes and like how they're trying to come after everybody for, like, I understand that they want to protect their brand. But at the same time, that brand has been in use since 1952, so that there is such a long history of first use. It would be very difficult for anybody to confuse the two. If anything, and in looking at the way that the Black Lives Matter Global Networks brand looks, it looks more like traffic signs to me more than anything else. So I would, for me, if I were to make a confusion, I would confuse it more with traffic signs more so than Adidas. Like, I wouldn't even think about Adidas, but that's neither here nor there. As a design nerd and as somebody who's worked in advertising for more years than I care to admit before I moved into software development, we always pull reference points, but we're always very clear to never pull so quickly that it looks like its thing. And so I think that Adidas is overstepping here. But then in connecting it to social justice issues, we are a visual society. And so from everything from the placards that you saw in the 60s and even going further back into like the 20s, like, having a visual representation of your movement is and will always be important. We also now live in the age of the pictogram. So while words are not as important, images and ideas and kind of the concepts are more important. That's why emojis are as popular as they are. We are in the age of the pictogram. And so I think that as we continue to move forward with social justice movements, we are going to see more pictograms. We're going to see more things like that, the pink triangle we saw for ACT UP. We're going to see more things like that. And that's kind of where we're going to start to move. So I think that we will end up finding ourselves clashing against advertising more often because of the use of pictograms. But I think that we also just need to
fair enough, yeah,
get over ourselves.
It's so interesting. I mean, like, Adidas is iconic at this point. There's no confusion about their logo. That's the part that I just can't really wrap my head around. Like, I really feel like it was more so tied to a financial move because they're losing so much money. And so it almost feels like, okay, let's grab onto anything that we can to generate some more revenue. Because again, these logos look nothing alike. We'll embed the logos here so y'all can compare them right now. But, you know, and I have some mixed feelings about the BLM Global Network Foundation, as many people do, because they have been scrutinized for a variety of reasons, which we're not getting into today. But despite those mixed feelings, I don't think they had any intention of trying to step on Adidas' toes. Like, much like other, you know, organizations and social movements, they just wanted to spread brand awareness. And again, to your point, their logo looks like a traffic sign. It doesn't look like anything related to Adidas or fashion for that matter. So it's really interesting, you know, also the timing, you know, the fact that Adidas is losing these two partnerships with two very prominent Black figures at the same time that they decided to file this opposition just is not a good look for them. It does not signal to people, even if the intent wasn't there, the impact is that it doesn't signal to folks that you like Black people. It's unclear. So interesting stuff. I'm curious to see how it pans out. I don't know how much you've been following, but I was also earlier this week and yesterday as well, I touched on the whole AI generated model situation with Levi's, which has been really interesting. So
it's funny, and Adrian, and this is what I love about like hanging out with you, because like you'll see it and you'll like externalize it. I will see it and just stew in my house about it. I'm just kind of walking around and just kind of stewing. And ironically, both of these things intersect so much of my background of both advertising and software development and design and all of these things. Kind of like, I feel like it's my entire history coming back and like converging all at once with DEI. I'm so angry. I'm so angry with Levi so Levi's, which purports itself as this like all-American brand, like to the point where they want you, when you think about denim and when you think about jeans, you think about Levi's. Like that has been the advertising campaign since the very beginning, is that Levi's equals
and it
denim
works. It's
equals
embedded.
America.
It's ingrained
like, that is
in my
what
brain
that combination.
for sure. Yeah.
It's literally why I buy Levi's still. And it's like, and they don't always fit me, but I always buy them anyway. But to then, I mean, like, it would have been such an easy win, and it would have been such a base level win just to incorporate more American models.
Right.
Because frankly, this is your brand. But instead, not only are you not including American models, you are going with digitized models, but then you're also going with digitized models from marginalized communities. Like, just the optics of it alone pretty much says, screw you. And that's what the optics say. You know, and I am not someone who is so knee-jerk that I'm like, I'm throwing out all of my Levi's jeans. I'm not one to do that kind of thing. But I am disappointed. I'm so disappointed that it would have been an on goal to do this. Like, all you had to do is literally just get some Black and brown humans. But instead you're looking for, and let's not kid ourselves, creating these AI models isn't exactly cheaper than hiring humans. It's not, and they're all weird. Look at hands and teeth.
I mean, also, and it's so interesting because they also mentioned sustainability being a part of their decision as well. But there's a lot of research out there that shows that this AI movement is not is actually creating worse emissions for us globally. So and they haven't explained what or how it's going to make things more sustainable. So I'm really curious to see. For anyone interested, I did a whole DEI in 5 segment on this just yesterday. You can check that video out on my channel. I also recently did a deeper dive on it on the Leadership podcast as well. But it's real unfortunate. And you know what really grinds my gears is that you go look at the leadership board of Levi's, a company that has been around for so long, and you just go look at it. I'll add the link in the description. Just go look. Just go look. So yeah, that was that. There's so much to unpack, but we said we're going to keep it short today. This is DEI in 5, but today is DEI in 10. Any final thoughts on Adidas, on Levi's?
Actually, my final thoughts are on the larger concept of advertising. Know what you're being sold and how it's being sold to you. And realize how things are being sold to you really shows what the brand thinks of you. If you don't like what the brand thinks of you, make them change it.
I also just wish more folks would look beyond the sort of what's at the surface, right? Like, again, looking at Levi's, yes, they may advertise with diverse models, which generally I think they do pretty okay. The idea of them using these AI generated models is to increase the inclusion for the shopping experience. So if you go look at an item, you're able to see that item on a variety of different types of humans, right? But if you are to, again, go beyond just what you're seeing in these advertisements and go look at who really works there, who are making the decisions at this organization and who are really making the big bucks, there's a significant lack of diversity, and there's no excuse at this point. There's no excuse for a company that like Levi's that's been around for so long to not have a more diverse group of decision makers and people with equity. There's no excuse. So yeah, that's DEI in 5 for today. If you enjoyed this discussion, please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel for more, share it with your friends, leave a comment below, let us know what you think. What is the responsibility of these companies, as it relates to social justice movements and this intersection of branding and legal battles? And do you think that a company's financial situation really influences the decisions and their public perception? Let us know what you think in the comments, and please be sure to return back for additional videos and all that good stuff. Again, make sure you like, subscribe, comment, and also go check out Caren's channel. She is at The Professional Adult. I'll link her below, and we'll see y'all soon. Thanks so much for joining. Bye.